Good day, viewers. Welcome to today's show. My name still remains Nkeiru Nwosu. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about abuse in the past. What I mean by abuse in the past is the kind of abuse I witnessed while growing up. It is said that hurt people hurt people. That means when people are hurt, when people are abused, they develop some behaviors, some behavioral patterns which are toxic, and then they use it to abuse other people if they are not healed, unless they are healed, or else the experiences they have, the mental health problems they have, will cause them to be hurting other people. That's why it is generally said that hurt people hurt people. The cycle of abuse then continues like that, because initially it wasn't, nobody bothered. You can talk to people anyhow, but these days there are so many things. The way you talk to people, they now tell you, oh, you're body shaming them, you're doing this, you're doing that. So we now are mindful of what we say to others. But while I was growing up, it was not like that. So the cycle of abuse will continue. If most of us that were raised, that grew up before mental health issue become a case to be looked into, if we continue to raise up our children or to treat our children the way we were treated, the cycle of abuse will surely continue. For example, most of us are now parents and grandparents, and we should not use that treatment that was meted on us on our children and on our grandchildren. While I was growing up, we were told a lot of words that were very abusive when analyzed against modern day values, especially those of us that grew up in the village with our unschooled uncles and aunties who thought that the only way to make us compliant and obey was by being harsh to us. And by being harsh to us, it was mainly their words that they used. Most of the words they spoke to us those days were not kind at all. It wasn't encouraging. Those days, the main form of punishment was to talk to us harshly. They rarely flogged us or beat us. To flog the child in those days, you have to chase the child round about the compound before you can flog the child. Some parents punish their children by depriving them of food. But starving the child made the parent look bad, because the child will definitely get the food from neighbors. And that will make the parent appear evil and bad before other people. So the main form of punishment that we received and that they thought was effective was to flog us, to beat us down with their words. They used criticism and berating us with their words to make us feel remorse for not doing the right things. They were not tactful and did not consider or even censor themselves before they spoke. To stay clear of their teasing and mockery, we had to behave ourselves. And anyone that behaved well was free of being mocked. Another reason our elders in those days said offensive comments to us was to tease us. They made fun of us for their own pleasure. In those days, they picked on us and ridiculed us for their pleasure. They saw us as their playthings, but they were ignorant of the consequences of their actions on our mental health. They will sit around, find one thing or the other about any one of us and make jokes about it. It's not like today that we have phones, we have gadgets, we have television. There are several devices for entertainment. In those days, we were their source of entertainment. And when they teased us, sometimes it made us feel unhappy, downcast, and we cried. But they will still continue to mock us. If we cried, they will mock us the more for being too sensitive and weakly. Abuse of any kind, verbal, emotional, physical, or sexual, causes adult and childhood trauma, which affects a person's mental health. A person's mental health is dependent on the interaction between their biological or genetic influences, their personal background or their experiences, and then the environment the person is exposed to. Current generation parents are often reminded to use kind remarks and gracious words when speaking to their children, because Studies recently have proven that cruel and negative comments affect a person's mental health by triggering the production of cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone which helps our body to handle uncomfortable and anxious moments. When somebody is being abused, the person is being exposed to an uncomfortable moment, an uncomfortable environment. So what does the body do? The body will release cortisol hormone to handle it. The surge of this hormone into the body, it causes anxiety and depression and the feeling of hopelessness. And long-term depression and anxiety disrupts the normal functioning of the brain. It can also hinder certain cognitive functions of the brain, such as memory and logical thinking. That is why in deep holistic parenting, we emphasize that you remove your child from abusive environment, because as long as there is an abuse, it affects the holistic development of the child, not just one aspect of the child's development. It will affect their cognition, their learning, their behavior, their thinking, everything about the child, their spiritual health, their emotional health, their physical health, their social health. So it affects all aspects of their well-being. When an individual is continuously exposed to a negative comment for a long time, it will wear away their self-esteem and worsen any present mental health issue. On the other hand, saying positive things to the child helps to stimulate parts of the brain which is involved with building self-confidence, emotional regulation, and problem-solving skills. This thereby supports a healthy mental well-being. Hence, promoting a healthy mental health issue has become critical global matter. So globally, it is advised that parents should speak words that will promote their child's mental health. Mental health has become a grave concern because it affects the person's ability to act, to think, and to feel. It defines and guides how they deal with stress, the choices they make, and how they handle their relationships. When an individual has a sound mental health, they are more productive and are able to attain success at their full potential. The person will be capable of building meaningful interaction within their environment. Contrastingly, if mental health issues are overlooked, it might result in the individual not being able to cope with everyday challenges in life. It can also cause notable health problems. Therefore, it is crucial that mental health should be handled as a weighty matter. Our elders, our older relatives, as I should call them, did not understand how derogatory and offensive most of their comments and jokes were to us. They did not know that when a child internalizes these comments, it negatively affects their self-worth, self-confidence, and self-esteem. Although they did not have ulterior motive, they did not have the intention of hurting us so deeply. But when they say those things, they saw it mainly as veiled comments, which is criticism disguised as pleasant compliment. Even when they knew those comments were unkind, they continued saying it to make us feel sorry for our misdeeds and our misbehavior. Some of them would say cruel words like, they said things like, see your head like that of goat, you walk like a chicken. When you don't do the right thing, or when we fail to do things correctly, they will now say, how can you be counted as a human being, you that you cannot even do anything right? If you dare to be stubborn, then their words become more savage and it can turn to curse. For example, they may say, as you're running from being flogged, may you run into your doom, or may you become deaf and dumb since I'm calling you and you pretend not to hear, or may the God strike that mouth of yours you're using to talk back at me. These words were cruel. You can't say it to children of nowadays. Sometimes they just abuse us because of the way we talk, eat, sleep, things that you don't have control over, things that are just your natural self. They will compare your mouth to cocoyam leaf. They will say you eat like a pig. See your nose like something that a cow stepped on. See how you dark you are like pot. You walk like an air, as if air is pushing you. Walk like a human being. Your nose is that, your head is that, your teeth is that, your teeth is like a shovel. Saying these words, you can't say it to children of nowadays. It will affect them. It will affect their self-confidence. When they are with their fellow children playing, they will be conscious of those words that you have spoken to them. They will be conscious of their hands. They will be conscious of their nose. They will be conscious of their ear. They will be conscious of their mouth. They will be conscious of their teeth. They will be conscious of those parts of their body, and it will cause them not to be free when they are among their friends. Even when they said to a child in those days, you look like your grandmother, they are using it to make jest of the child, because such statements is usually condescending and painful to the young one. Because when they look at the grandparents that they are being compared to, the grandparent is now old, feeble, and have lost some teeth. Their faces have sagged, wrinkled, making them unattractive. They don't walk straight. They have hunched over posture and cannot stand straight or walk without leaning forward. Therefore, when you tell a child in those days, look, you're like Mama Felicia, or you call one grandma, the child sees it as an abuse, because that grandparent is not admirable, and because the child is used to being abused. So anything you say to the child becomes as if you're abusing the child. Nowadays, research, I keep on saying research studies, is warning parents, is warning adults, warning everyone to be mindful of what you say to others, because words affect people's mental health. Things you do, the way you behave, it affects the other person's mental health. Let us watch out for our fellows, for our neighbors' mental health. With this, we come to the end of today's episode. Please, can you kindly share with us what kind of abuse, if any, that you were exposed to while growing up, or if any abuse that you're witnessing in your environment right now? Thank you. My name still remains Nkeiru Nwosu. See you in our next episode. Don't forget to share, like, or comment in the comment section.